Dre Greenlaw, I don't know if you saw this. He had an interview, and I forget who it was with, but basically he was, I think it was the NBC Sports guys, Mayoko
Yep.
and yeah, okay. So in that interview, though, I don't want to put words in your mouth. We haven't talked about this. Have you seen the interview,
So I mean, I saw
or have
I
you at
saw
least
clips
read
of
the
it. I
article
I
about the
read the
interview?
article. I saw clips
Okay.
of it, but I read the article and how he talked about how you could go through it. But I read the article.
Okay. Well, simply, what did you take away from reading that article and the little bit that you heard from the interview? Because I took some things away, and I'm curious to see if we came to the same conclusion here.
Pretty much the same thing that I've been saying for the past couple of weeks is he's going to be placed on the PUP. He's going to be out for at least 4 weeks, and I'm expecting him to be back week 5, 6. And he mentioned week 6, and I think that's the timeline. There's no reason to rush Dre Greenlaw when you already have a good defense, you have a good offense. Like it's not like he's Fred Warner. He's that missing piece where if he's not on the field, the team's gonna fall drastically. And it sounds like he's finally came to conclusion that, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna be there week 1. I need to slow it down because I've been speeding up my process. All I'm doing is hurting myself. Slow it down, recover the proper way, and be ready for week 5, 6 coming the season. He mentioned he doesn't know when it's going to be, whether it's week 2, week 8 into the season. But I truly think he'll be placed on the PUP and he'll be back around that 5, week 6 timeline.
Yeah, that was kind of it, right? There was a lot of optimism, especially from him, that he might be back week 1, and that never sounded realistic. But I almost got, I don't want to say a defeated vibe, but a
He was
vibe from
defeated.
him.
No, he's defeated, bro. Like
Yeah, but
you could
probably because
tell.
he's not going to make it back week 1. I guess really what I got was, I want to phrase this right, because defeated means like he's not going to fight, but it was more of like a reality check vibe from him. There it is. I got a
I think
reality check vibe from him because he started to mention, I don't know when I'm going to be back. It could be week 4, 6, 10, 12. All I know is that when I come back, I want to be fully ready to go. And so for me, that was him saying, hey, I'm not going to be back week 1. That expectation was always it was unrealistic. I'd hoped for that. There are days where I definitely am not able to do the things that I want to do in my mind. That can be frustrating. I have to be patient. This is a long process. So that was a little discouraging to hear because, I mean, this is a guy that when he's on the field, man, he's like Batman. You know what I mean? But now that he's not able to play, you can just see that is taken away from him and how much it means to him. I don't know. It's kind of heartbreaking, actually. I really like Drake Greenlaw a lot.
and honestly what was crazy is how he talked about how that's the same Achilles that was bothering him for a month in advance. And John Lynch came out and said that it wasn't the same Achilles. So bullshit. Your player came out and said, no, it was. Like, that's the thing
Mhm.
that pisses me off. It's like, it's cool. Like, okay, injuries are going to happen, John. Like, there was no reason for John Lynch after the Super Bowl, or like during that press conference. I don't know if you remember, he came out, he's like, oh, it wasn't the same Achilles. It was different. It was the other one. He was battling an Achilles injury throughout the year. It was a different one. I thought that was kind of like shady to say. Now that Dre Greenlaw is coming out, like, no, it was that, and like it was the same one that's been injured. And honestly, I truly got the sense of a player going through depression right now. Like that's what I got, at least from the small clips I saw of Dre Greenlaw. Like he talked about how devastated it was for it to happen in the Super Bowl, and how he didn't know like what was going on and stuff like that. Like that to me, like he's like I had no power in my leg, nothing. It was dead. Like when he was saying that stuff, like damn, like truthfully, you could feel the sense of a player going through a depression due to an injury, and he has to get back to his way. And I think he'll be back to his way. He plays like he's on fire all the time. So
Yeah, it's interesting because, I always thought like week 6 was more realistic, but Lobs actually on Twitter was like, I was doing some research on it and it seems like 11 months is really that mark. And so I went and looked at it and he's right, but really a lot of the things I read were even more discouraging to the point where it's like, because my assumption is like he'll just be back and he'll be fine. But everything I was reading, and it was kind of going through like how long it took high level athletes to come back, how long from when they came back before they were actually themselves. And really, the result is it's about 10 to 12 months on average. Usually, that's how long it takes to get back. And it takes athletes on average almost 3 full years to fully come back. And out of the athletes that tear their Achilles, only 75% actually do make it back. So 25% don't even come back, which is crazy. But, a lot of that could be like, hey, these were fringe guys making teams anyways. Now they've torn, so I don't know exactly what factors into that, but that's a very high number. And then the fact that it takes almost 3 full years for most guys to get fully back to where they were, that was tough to read. So I don't know. We'll see what we get from Dre Greenlaw. I guess, the way that I looked at it was, hey, he'll be back and he'll be 100%. And maybe that's the case. And hopefully that's the case. But really, the 49ers do have to have some other plan in case that's not the case. And Campbell is not that plan. They only drafted one linebacker and they waited till round 7 this year. Maybe they really do believe in Graham and or Winters. I don't know. I believe in Graham. I'll tell you that based off of what I saw. But I don't know where the 49ers are at. And are the 49ers like playing it a little bit risky here? Or do they believe in one of these guys? I mean, I'm not really sure, but it's a little worrisome. Like Dre may not be back to himself, especially fully at all this year.
Do you know if, because one thing I'm trying to look up is the surgeon that did Dre Greenlaw the same as Aaron Rodgers? I don't think they were,
I
but
don't think so.
I thought I had read, and I'm trying to find it, that Dre Greenlaw got the same surgery as Aaron Rodgers. So it's not the same Achilles repair that used to be had when a lot of other players got their surgery. So it's a different process to give them a faster timeline to get back. The only issue is it hasn't been done to many athletes, so we don't know the recovery process. Now, I could be wrong, but I thought I had read that he got a similar procedure done that Aaron Rodgers did, and it's a different style of tying things or whatever it's to get you back on the field as fast as possible.
Yeah, and it could be a little bit of a newer surgery, right? I mean, that's one thing we'll say about Brock Purdy's surgery. It was a new-ish surgery, and he got back a lot faster than I think what a lot of people expected. Maybe this can be the same thing, where it's a new-ish surgery, and they can get him back faster. I don't know. I'm just hoping the best for him. I really am. I mean, this is obviously the fan in me, fan of the 49ers, would love to have him there because we know that he helps win games. But just like the person in me really hopes that he can get it back because you can tell, man, it really is getting to him. And I just hope the best for him as a person. I think he's a great teammate. He's a great player. And I just want to see him back doing what he loves because that's going to be a sight to see. I don't know, like if we'll know for sure which game it is that he comes back, but if somehow we know in advance, I think I want to be at that game. You know what I mean? Like the energy will be insane for that game. You know it will be.
Oh yeah, he's gonna bring the boom. He's gonna bring a different
Mhm.
mentality, especially coming back during a contract year. Like right, like that's something that's not talked about. Like the worst possible timing for a player to get injured. Truthfully, I wish Niners would extend him now. Like truthfully, but I know the right thing for the organization is don't do it until after the year or mid-year when you know he's back to himself because you're not going to pay him what he deserves knowing that he's coming back from that injury. So it's a tough situation as a fan, as someone who like the way I look at it is I'm always player first, man. Like I want right for the player. And the Niners have done right by their players, but I don't think they're going to extend Dre Greenlaw as they should. I think they'll wait for him to see if he's back to himself.